Welcome, friends, to another episode of Today in Military Affairs. In this video, we'll explore the game-changing deployment of British long-range Storm Shadow missiles by Ukraine against Russian territory, a move that comes just one day after the US greenlit the use of ATACMS missiles. Could this escalation shift the course of the war? Before diving in, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay informed about the latest developments in global military affairs. Let's analyze this critical turning point in the Ukraine conflict. On Wednesday, November 20, 2024, Ukraine took a bold step in its military strategy, launching British-made Storm Shadow missiles against Russian targets. This marked a significant escalation, occurring just a day after Ukraine used US-supplied ATACMS missiles to strike key Russian positions. The targets were concentrated in the Kursk region, a critical logistical hub for Russian forces due to its proximity to the Ukrainian border. The timing of these strikes is no coincidence. Analysts suggest this escalation was in direct response to Russia's increasing reliance on external allies, particularly North Korea, which recently sent troops and heavy equipment to bolster the Russian front lines. Additionally, these strikes represent a shift in Ukraine's strategy, signaling its intent to carry the fight deeper into Russian territory. By targeting key infrastructure and logistical nodes, Ukraine aims to disrupt supply lines and force Moscow to divert resources to protect its own soil. This approach not only increases pressure on the Kremlin but also demonstrates Ukraine's growing confidence in leveraging advanced Western weaponry to turn the tide of the conflict. Developed jointly by the UK and France, the Storm Shadow, known in France as Scalp, is a state-of-the-art cruise missile designed for precision strikes on high-value targets. Its key features include long range. With a range of up to 300 kilometers, it allows the launch aircraft to remain outside the range of most anti-aircraft defenses. Terrain-hugging capability. The missile flies at extremely low altitudes, making it difficult for enemy radar systems to detect. Advanced navigation. It uses GPS guidance and optical sensors for pinpoint accuracy. Fortification penetration. Its warhead is designed to penetrate heavily fortified structures, such as bunkers and underground command centers. The Storm Shadow has been battle-tested in conflicts like the Gulf War and the intervention in Libya, making it one of the most advanced and reliable missiles in Ukraine's arsenal. In addition to its technical features, the Storm Shadow's psychological impact cannot be underestimated. Its ability to bypass sophisticated air defenses and hit deeply entrenched targets sends a clear message to adversaries about the growing capabilities of Ukraine's military. The deployment of such advanced weaponry not only disrupts enemy operations but also shifts the balance of power, forcing Russia to re-evaluate its strategies and resource allocations to counter this new threat effectively. The recent deployment of British-made Storm Shadow missiles by Ukraine against Russian targets marks a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict. On November 20, 2024, Ukraine launched these long-range missiles, targeting the Kursk region, a vital logistical hub for Russian forces due to its proximity to the Ukrainian border. This action followed the use of US-supplied ATACMS missiles by Ukraine just a day earlier, indicating a strategic intensification of its military operations. The Storm Shadow missile, developed collaboratively by the UK and France, is renowned for its precision and effectiveness. Key features include a range of up to 300 kilometers, terrain-hugging flight capabilities to evade radar detection, advanced GPS and optical navigation systems for pinpoint accuracy, and a warhead designed to penetrate fortified structures. Its proven performance in conflicts such as the Gulf War and the intervention in Libya underscores its reliability and potency. Western nations had previously been cautious about permitting Ukraine to utilize advanced weaponry against targets within Russia, primarily due to concerns over potential escalation and the risk of being perceived as direct participants in the conflict. However, the deployment of North Korean troops to support Russian forces has altered the strategic landscape. Reports indicate that approximately 10,900 North Korean troops have been deployed to the Kursk region, with some already participating in battles. This development, coupled with the impending inauguration of Donald Trump, who has signaled a potential reduction in US support for Ukraine, has prompted a reassessment of policies. In response, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has reaffirmed Britain's commitment to Ukraine's defense, authorizing the use of Storm Shadow missiles against Russian targets. The Kremlin has condemned these missile strikes as a dangerous escalation, with concerns that such actions could lead to further intensification of the conflict. The strategic implications of Ukraine's use of long-range missiles are profound, potentially altering the dynamics of the war and influencing future diplomatic and military engagements. As the situation evolves, the international community remains vigilant, recognizing the delicate balance required to navigate this complex and volatile conflict. On November 20, 2024, Ukraine escalated its military strategy by deploying British-made Storm Shadow missiles against Russian targets, marking a significant intensification in the conflict. This action followed the previous day's use of US-supplied ATACMS missiles to strike key Russian positions. The strikes were concentrated in Russia's Kursk region, a vital logistical hub due to its proximity to the Ukrainian border. Analysts suggest this escalation was a direct response to Russia's increasing reliance on external allies, notably North Korea, which has recently provided troops and heavy equipment to support Russian front lines. The Storm Shadow missile, developed jointly by the UK and France, where it is known as Scalp, is a state-of-the-art cruise missile designed for precision strikes on high-value targets. Its key features include a range of up to 300 kilometers, allowing launch aircraft to remain outside most anti-aircraft defenses, terrain-hugging capability for low-altitude flight to evade radar detection, advanced navigation using GPS guidance and optical sensors for pinpoint accuracy, and a warhead designed to penetrate heavily fortified structures, such as bunkers and underground command centers. The Storm Shadow has been battle-tested in conflicts like the Gulf War and the intervention in Libya, making it one of the most advanced and reliable missiles in Ukraine's arsenal. Until recently, Western nations were hesitant to allow Ukraine to use advanced weapons against targets inside Russia, primarily due to concerns over uncontrolled escalation and fears that Moscow could interpret such actions as direct NATO involvement in the war. However, the introduction of North Korean troops into the conflict, deployed in critical regions like Kharkiv and Donetsk, significantly increased pressure on Ukraine's defensive lines. This shift, combined with the impending inauguration of Donald Trump, who has signaled a potential reduction in U.S. support for Ukraine, prompted the Biden administration to act decisively. In the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer reaffirmed Britain's commitment to Ukraine's defense, allowing the use of Storm Shadows in Russian territory. Predictably, the Kremlin reacted strongly, labeling these missile strikes as a dangerous escalation. On November 21, Russia launched an intercontinental ballistic missile armed with conventional warheads at Dnipro, signaling its readiness to retaliate. Kyiv hopes these strikes will bolster its position in future peace negotiations by demonstrating its ability to target Russian infrastructure. However, the potential for severe Russian reprisals raises concerns about further escalation. The deployment of long-range missiles by Ukraine underscores a critical question. What happens next? Limited supply. While the Storm Shadow has proven effective, Ukraine's supply is finite. The country's ability to replenish its stock will depend on continued support from Western allies, particularly the UK and France. Prolonged reliance on such advanced weaponry may force Ukraine to prioritize high-value targets, making each strike a strategic decision with long-term consequences. Psychological impact. The strikes have not only targeted Russian logistics but have also sent a clear message to Russian troops and civilians, potentially undermining morale. This psychological advantage may erode the Kremlin's narrative of dominance, sowing doubt among Russian forces about their ability to maintain control over critical areas. Furthermore, the visible reach of Ukraine's arsenal could shift public opinion within Russia, increasing pressure on the government to respond decisively. Diplomatic fallout. The use of these advanced weapons complicates diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the conflict, as it demonstrates Ukraine's capability to directly challenge Russian military superiority. This escalation risks alienating nations that have maintained a neutral stance and could polarize international support further. While Ukraine aims to strengthen its bargaining position in future peace talks, the heightened tension could also lead to deeper divisions within international organizations like the United Nations, potentially delaying collective action or mediation. The strategic implications of these developments highlight the delicate balance Ukraine and its allies must maintain between leveraging military advancements and navigating the geopolitical ramifications of their use. The war in Ukraine has highlighted the transformative role of technology in modern conflicts. The precision and reach of weapons like the Storm Shadow and ATACMS symbolize a new era of warfare, where strategic targets can be neutralized from great distances with minimal risk to the attacking forces. While Ukraine fights to protect its sovereignty, Western powers face a delicate balancing act, providing crucial support without crossing the thin line that could lead to direct confrontation with Russia. As the war enters its next phase, the world watches with trepidation. The use of long-range missiles is a landmark moment, not just in the Ukraine conflict but in the broader context of international security. The outcome of this war will not only determine Ukraine's future but will also shape global alliances and redefine the rules of modern warfare. With each new escalation, the stakes grow higher, and the path to peace becomes more complex. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this and other global developments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.